Who says traditional weapons can't rival today's advanced ones? That's only because you haven't witnessed the true might of the ancient crossbow. Even from 200 meters away, its arrows can pierce straight through thick slabs of pork. Compare that to modern handguns, which lose both accuracy and force beyond just 50 meters. Such powerful performance once made the crossbow an undeniable force on the battlefield. As early as the spring and autumn period, it required horses for mobility on the battlefield. That's where portable crossbows came into play. Some were loaded by foot, others by arm strength, usually made of 4 core parts: the bow, string, sight rail, and trigger. The sight rail was the ancestor of modern aiming systems by the Han Dynasty. They even had distance marks engraved, helping archers adjust for range with surprising precision. To increase rate of fire, ancient inventors introduced repeating crossbows, the most famous being the Juge repeating crossbow. An arrow box was added on top, and by sliding the mechanism back and forth, it could reload and fire automatically. But in exchange for speed, it sacrificed power, which eventually led to its decline. It wasn't until 2006 that a successful replica was made. Among all personal crossbows, the divine arm bow from the Song Dynasty stood out as the most powerful. It was classified by the court and forbidden from civilian use during repeated northern invasions. Even the feared armored cavalry of the Jin forces suffered heavy losses under its fire. Built upon the earlier Han designs, it introduced groundbreaking changes, especially the use of composite materials, giving it much greater tension and range. Even today, replicas of the divine arm bow are known for their intense recoil, strong enough to knock it from your hands if you're not careful. Though these ancient weapons have stepped off the battlefield, they still find use today in special applications, where precision and silence are key. Who would have thought fishing could be so thrilling in northeast China, on Chagan Lake, where winter temperatures plunge to 40 grados bajo cero? A single day's harvest can feed communities for a year, but such abundance doesn't come easy if the fish are mislocated. An entire day's work could go to waste. That's where the master fisher comes in, with decades of experience tracking the movement of fish before the sun even rises. The crew is already on the move, headed to the spot the master has chosen. They speed across the frozen lake. It's meter-thick ice, both a roadway and an obstacle. A winch system is set up, powered by horses. As it turns, tons of fishing nets slide smoothly under the ice, along the path laid by the ropes. This process alone takes half a day. Even with the kilometer-wide opening for the catch, not even the most seasoned master can predict the outcome. With a single command, the net begins to rise. Soon, silver fish shimmer in the opening, the reward for their hard work. After a year of resting the lake, these fish grew impressively large. In 2021, the first catch of the season weighed over 50 pounds and was auctioned at a stunning price. Fisherfolk of Chagang Lake still follow age-old wisdom, using wide nets to keep the large and release the small, harvesting sustainably to protect the lake's future. From dawn to dusk, a winter fishing day spans from first light to last glow. The joyful harvest and the tireless labor behind it keep this cultural tradition alive, nourishing generation after generation. A single strike of an axe against a dead log reveals a plump, juicy shiitake mushroom. This is one of humanity's oldest mushroom farming methods, known as the duo hua, or chopping technique. It was created by Wusan during the Song Dynasty, bringing mountain delicacies to ordinary homes and earning him the name Mushroom Sage. Wusan once dreamed of becoming a martial arts hero with a sword in hand. He ventured deep into the forests. There, he noticed mushrooms growing from the wounds of fallen trees, incredibly rich in aroma and taste. Inspired by nature, he began experimenting. He discovered that chopping more marks into the wood resulted in more mushrooms. This surprising revelation changed his life's path. He became focused on cultivating shiitake mushrooms by hand. He eventually unlocked their growth secrets. Mushroom spores floating in the air would settle into the cuts on the logs, germinate under the bark, and after 2 years of development, form mature mushrooms. These would then release spores, continuing the cycle of life with years of dedication. Wusan developed a full cultivation process, including a secret technique known as the scripture carving method. This mysterious method came from observation. Some logs, even when cut, wouldn't grow mushrooms. Frustrated, Wusan struck one log with great force, only to find mushrooms thriving days later. Such wonders of nature never cease to amaze. The seasoned craftsman repeatedly strikes the glowing iron in pursuit of the legendary Longquan sword, famed for its razor-sharp edge and mesmerizing patterns. A Longquan sword must be folded and forged 15 times, layer upon layer, until it reaches an astonishing 32,000 layers, creating the sword's signature, mystical texture. Its sharpness is breathtaking, yet the blade remains completely intact, remarkably resilient. Even when run over by a car, it springs back to its original form. Once the favored weapon of martial heroes, when drawn, it seemed to stir the very winds. Today, even a slender young man wielding one becomes the most striking figure in the village. He easily pierces a barrel of water, demonstrating the subtle power of a well-placed thrust. It cuts through straw mats as effortlessly as slicing fruit. That is the power behind the Longquan sword, forged by the legendary swordsmith, Wu Yezi. This tradition dates back more than 2,600 years. It represents the peak of ancient Chinese weapon crafting mastery. The forging process begins with local Longquan sand, rich in natural iron ore. After simple smelting, this becomes high-quality pig iron, which is why Oyu Yezi chose this location. The iron is heated and hammered countless times, a grueling test of strength, skill, and precision, all crucial to the sword's final quality, to enhance its flexibility. Masters use the cladding method, placing softer steel at the core. The iron is folded again and again 15 times, until the shape is just right. Quenching is an essential part of the craft. A centuries old, well, in Longquan, with cool, stable water year-round, ensures flawless cooling with every dip. The sword is then reheated and reforged multiple times, each stage a balance of fire and water, revealing the secret behind its perfect blend of strength and grace. Next, the sword is carefully polished. As the saying goes, 10 years to sharpen a sword. It's a test of patience, and of the craftsman's understanding of the blade's soul. Once the hilt and guard are fitted, a gleam of cold light flashes across the blade, its presence commanding and bold. But To be truly complete, the sword must be tested. A steel rod, as thick as a finger, is placed on the testing block. With one precise strike, it splits cleanly in two. Then comes the straw mat test. Swift, clean, effortless. With a blade this powerful, you're ready to take on any challenge. Long ago, people discovered that even gold reacts to mercury. Thousands of years ago, craftsmen used this knowledge to craft dazzling bronzeware, creating what is uniquely known in China as the inlaid gold and silver technique. While melted gold can be used for decoration, it hardens too quickly to be practical. So ancient artisans cleverly introduced mercury. Fine gold wire is flattened, then trimmed into 2 to 3 centimeter strips, just the right size for mercury to dissolve. Gentle heating speeds up the reaction, and the bubbling gold-mercury blend must then be quickly cooled. A special cloth is used to squeeze out the excess mercury until a thick, silver-lustered paste forms, known as amalgam. Precaution is key. Craftsmen must avoid any cuts or injuries, as contact with mercury can be dangerous. Using tools, the gold paste is evenly applied to the bronze surface, then gently heated as the temperature rises. The mercury evaporates completely, leaving behind a stunning layer of pure gold. To bring out its full brilliance, agate stones are used for careful polishing. Though ancient people had no diamond tools, they left behind a treasure trove of jade carvings. Even today's diamond blades cannot scratch jade. So how did the ancients shape such a hard material? First, they created a special cutting sand by selecting quartz and corundum particles from river sediment. Then, two artisans would work together, using a wire saw while fine quartz sand trickled down to enhance the cutting power. A slow, deliberate process known as water grinding. Even a full day might produce only a tiny groove for finer work. They invented a water-powered foot pedal tool that drove metal instruments in precise motions, combined with the cutting sand, to complete intricate designs and hollowed patterns. This gave rise to the rich culture of jade carving in China. Modern tools have simplified the process, but the spirit of craftsmanship still lives on. For jade artists, finding the perfect piece of jade is worth risking everything. Even then, perfection is rare. That's when true artistry shines. A crack might become the curl of a scroll. A color flaw might transform into a parrot's beak. A touch of red that turns imperfection into beauty. Once the design is finalized, there's no room for change until the jade comes alive with form and presence. Finally comes the polishing, which must preserve both structure and fine detail. Only then is a jade masterpiece complete. When it comes to luxury, nothing surpasses Chinese jade.